Hello everybody, this is Downtown Bruno from Memphis Wrestling and the WWE, and you're watching Buster H.R. Johnson's channel on YouTube. This guy has been a friend of mine for over 25 years. Great guy, he's got great interviews, great fun, great videos on here. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned, subscribe to this channel. And you know why? Just like Mama said, it be that way sometimes.
You can see my mustache.
Alright guys, on this episode of Bullshit with Buster, we're going to do things a little bit differently this time. Usually Buster's behind the camera doing the filming, asking the questions, but tonight he's going to be in front of the camera and I'll be asking the questions. First of all, who is Buster H.R. Johnson?
Him. Who is Buster H.R. Johnson?
You.
Who is he now?
You.
He's a father.
Yeah.
He's a husband.
Yeah.
He's a man. Where did Buster Johnson come from?
Him. And my daddy. You're so silly, Dad. I'll change it here. And you're doing it. Maybe take your glasses off.
You know, I didn't think this would be like this, to be honest with you. Who is Buster Johnson? Buster Johnson is a 5-year-old kid laying in his parents' living room watching Channel 5 wrestling, playing with this big giant stuffed koala bear. Actually, it was a panda bear. Giant though. Every Saturday morning, rolling around on the carpet with this big panda bear. 5 years old. That's who Buster Johnson really is. Just like so many other dudes out there who fell in love with pro wrestling or anything else. Could be football, could be baseball, could be being a fireman, who knows. But for me, 5 years old, I fell in love with pro wrestling, and I'll always be in love with it. No matter how old I get, no matter how disgusted I get with it sometimes, it's a part of me, it's part of who I am.
Daddy, what's this thing?
Maybe it's the little desk thing, you pull it out and you put your paper on it and you write on it. So you got a drawer over here. But that's who Buster Johnson really is. He's a 5-year-old kid laying in his parents' living room floor, rolling around on the carpet, doing what I seen on TV, pretending to wrestle this big giant panda bear. You know?
Okay, that's where Buster started. That's where the dream started. But tell us how we got to where you are now, where you've been and what you've accomplished. So in the beginning, where did you start from to become a wrestler?
Alright, how did I become a wrestler? Alright, like I said, I fell in love with wrestling at 5. But before that, my brother
Bye.
loved pro wrestling, was a huge pro wrestling fan. That's how I discovered wrestling, I would say. I don't remember him turning the TV on and saying, hey, check this out. But not only my brother, my grandpa, huge pro wrestling fan. Till the day he died, you couldn't tell him pro wrestling wasn't real. Just the way it is. It's probably started out as my brother's dream. Whole time I'm a kid, he going around telling everybody, when this boy grows up, he's gonna be a wrestler. I'm gonna manage him. So you go through life, like I said, this started at 5, so you go on through school, you go through elementary school, you go through junior high, senior high. Buster Johnson didn't make it that far. Too hard-headed,
9.
too wild. Buster Johnson quit school in the 9th grade. Went back, went through the 9th grade, went to 10th grade, quit again, decided I was done with it. Hell, for the next 2 years, probably didn't do nothing but ride around with my friends, drinking, smoking, partying, just doing what kids do, wild kids do, doing a lot of things I probably shouldn't do, but the dream never left. The dream was always there. It was always my dream. It was my brother's dream.
5.
And everybody, like I said, that he ever come across, all his friends through life from the time I was probably 6 or 7 years old. This boy's going to be a wrestler when he grows up, and I'm going to be his manager. And that's kind of what led us to pro wrestling. I'm 16, I'm 17, I'm doing nothing, floundering, just partying, quit school, definitely not going to go back, not going to graduate, didn't give a damn about a GED, none of that. Truth be told, I was going to be a wrestler or a dope dealer. Simple as that. I mean, if you want the honest truth, I was either going to be the most famous wrestler ever, I was going to be the biggest dope dealer in history.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. We're going to talk about your brother off and on, I'm sure, a lot through this. So no matter how many times we tell people, people never believe who your real life brother is. So go ahead and tell your real life brother's name, and let's get this out the way.
All right, so many people. Just the other day, I'm at a show in Brownsville, Tennessee. In Brownsville, Tennessee, Southern Pro Wrestling, talking to Will Sims. And then Will Sims asked me, he said, is Sam your real brother? And I said, yeah, don't you know that? Not only Will, Levi Chance too. He's the same thing. I thought for sure Levi knew. No, neither one of them knew. They knew that was the story, but they didn't know it was the truth. But yeah, we're real life brothers.
I know throughout the years, no matter how many times, everybody thinks it's a shoot. They
Girl,
don't think it's true.
What are you doing? Can you see we shooting the life and times of Buster Johnson right here? And you steady cutting my skyline out. What are you doing, little girl?
The life and times of Buster Johnson revolves around this one right
You
now.
better stop. Oh yeah, she definitely rules the roost between her and my two other kids.
They the superstars
Yeah,
now.
they the bosses.
Okay, 16, 17 years old. When you start training, whose idea was it for you to start training, and how did y'all find the place Buster trained at?
Like I said, 17 years old. I'm doing nothing, sleeping all day, staying up all night, smoking, drinking. I only had two goals in life: being the most famous wrestler or the biggest dope dealer. At the time, truth be told, I was doing all right on one side. The wrestling hadn't even come into the picture yet. My brother seen this, and he'd been down the same road. He understands. Come from a small town called Helena, Arkansas. Now it's called Helltown. But when I lived there, truthfully, it was an awesome town. Awesome town. Probably about 30,000 people between Helena and West Helena. Had a lot of fun. Big enough town where you knew everybody, but you didn't know everybody at the same time. You know, so my brother bought a gym. He was running his gym, started working out. I'm 17. Come in one day, he said, look, he said, I talked to Jerry Jarrett. How he got Jerry Jarrett's number, I don't know. We was looking for a wrestling school, or he was. I didn't even realize he was actually doing it. So I come in, look, I talked to Jerry Jarrett. Such and such day, we got to be in Nashville at 2 o'clock at the fairgrounds. And I mean, you're excited, but at the same time, you're like, oh shit, you know, it's a real thing now. You know, it's kind of put up or shut up time. You've been talking all this shit your whole life. I'm gonna be a wrestler. He's gonna be my manager. I mean, everybody in town knows this, has heard this story, and now there's an opportunity to make it a reality. But the funny thing is, he said that Jerry Jarrett, every possible way he could, tried to discourage him. It was almost, he said, it's almost like he didn't want us to come.
Yeah.
You know, he told him that, hey, only so many people a year actually make it. Don't touch it, baby.
You can't touch the camera.
He told us that, he told him that only so many a year. Michaela, baby, you can't mess with it, honey.
She mad. She okay.
Made her mad.
Go ahead.
Anyway, little girl. Anyway,
she'll be back.
he said Jerry Jarrett tried to discourage him. It seemed like he was trying to discourage him in every way he could. Like I said, he told him only so many a year make it. It was like one or two. Told him that it ain't what you think it is. It's a lot tougher than you. It ain't what you see on TV.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I mean, I wasn't smart, but I was smart in the sense that I understood what wrestling was about, I think. Didn't know how to do it, didn't know how to do any moves, but I understood the psychology. Like I said, I've been watching wrestling since I was 5 years old, maybe earlier, I don't know.
Right.
Watched all the wrestling. I was lucky enough to be able to watch Lawler, Channel 5, Memphis Wrestling. When I was young, Mid-South Wrestling out of Little Rock, Bill Watts. When the WWF come on the scene with the USA Network, I got to watch it too. And of course, Georgia Championship Wrestling, which later became WCW. Ever so often, you get some Von Erich wrestling.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I watched a lot of wrestling. You know?
So he gets hold of Jerry Jarrett. Y'all go from there. So where do y'all go?
All right, well, it's at the Nashville Fairgrounds. They hold wrestling there. Did for years, every Saturday night. But now this is still 2 months away, probably. You know,
Yeah.
he tells me this, and then the date we're supposed to be there is like 2 months away, probably. So you got 2 months there where I'm nervous as hell.
Yeah.
You know, every day it gets closer and closer. You get more nervous and nervous. Thank you, baby. So for 2 months, it was like a build-up. Like it just kept getting bigger in my head. You know, the anxiety kicks in. It's put up or shut up time. Can you do this? Yeah, it's easy to tell somebody, yeah, I can do this. But actually getting in there and actually doing it's two different things. You know? And it was at Nashville at the fairgrounds, like I said, every Saturday night. They held wrestling there. It was held on a Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m., which we had to drive. It's back still when it's 55 miles an hour all the way. So we had to drive from West Helena to Nashville, which back then was roughly an 8-hour drive almost one way, 16 hours round trip. So we'd leave about 4 in the morning. On a Sunday, which for me, they ain't no telling what I've been out doing all week, but especially Friday and Saturday. They ain't no telling. Half the time on come Sunday morning, I still drunk from Saturday night, maybe even Friday night. So Sam drives and I sleep. We had this old, he bought a minivan. So he'll drive and he'll have time. I'd stay passed out in the back of the minivan half the trip. So 2 o'clock, you got to be there this day. Like I said, the anticipation just, I'm the type of person, if you tell me we're going to do something, I'm ready to do it then.
Right.
You give me too much time to get in my own head thinking about it, and I build it up into this thing that's this giant mountain that's, can you climb it? I can't climb it. The doubt sets in. Just not that type of person. I like to do it. If I know it, we're going to do it, let's do it. You know?
All right. So you get there, and who officially trains you?
Ooh, so we get there, and we pull up in the fairgrounds. They put a few cars there, but as soon as we get out, you hear this sound. I mean, it's undeniable to me, but my brother, he's like, and it's over and over. It's bang, bang, bang. And he's like, what is that? And I said, and it made me nervous. As soon as we got out of the car, I heard it. I was like, oh shit, we're here. And I was like, sounds like a ring to me. Didn't know no terminology, none of that. Didn't know what I mean, sounded like the guys getting slammed around on the mat. Boom, 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 over and over. Because we actually got there about 10 minutes late. So by the time we got there, the class had already started.
Right.
So as we walked through the end of the door, you come in the fairgrounds, just like the fans would, through the front, through the entrance, and the ring's setting up in the middle, but you got this little, I don't know, 40 feet before you actually, maybe less than that, before you get into the arena where you can actually see the ring. You got the concession stand thing that's blocking you. So as we pass that and look to see the ring, the guys are in there, boom, taking bumps. I think they might have been taking hip tosses, but there was probably 5, 6 guys, boom, boom. The guy in the ring training them spotted us, and he come out of the ring, come over to us, shook our hand, with the weirdest handshake you ever wanted to have in your life until you know what it meant. But this dude turned out to be Tony Falk. Boy Tony, driver Tony, all kind of Tony, you know, been to Texas, been on Memphis forever.
Right.
He's not just a TV personality for the Jarretts. He's also, I mean, he does anything. No matter what it is, he does anything they need him to do pretty much. If Jeff needs something, he does stuff for him. But anyway, guy comes over, shakes our hand. We introduce ourselves. You know, can I help y'all? But he shook our hand and immediately he knew. We didn't know he knew, but he knew we didn't know nothing about wrestling for sure. I mean, he hit us with this shake and both of us, I didn't say nothing. I was sitting there thinking in my head, you know, little Fred Sanford going on. But I mean, I don't know nothing. I'm not smart whatsoever. But I know it was a little limp wrist handshake. And Sam was the same way. So talk to Tony, tell him what we're there for. We want to get into class. It's already started. Tony says, y'all ready to start today? Sure, you know. So he said, there's the bathroom over there. What's up, baby? He said, the bathroom's over there, go change. Went and changed in the bathroom. I go in. I'm nervous as can be. Nervous. So I go in, I take a piss, then I start changing and Sam walks in and he's like, he still ain't realized this is Tony Falk. Sam man.
Right.
So he walks in the bathroom too. He's like, man, he said, you just had a dude shake my hand. I was like, yeah, he shook my hand the same way. He's like, who is that dude? I'm like, man, that's Tony Falk. And then he was like, that's Tony Falk. I'm like, yeah, that's Tony Falk. And so get changed, and I'm nervous. And I'm blowing up, don't even know what blowing up is already. I'm in the bathroom changing, and my nerves, my anticipation, I'm in there, I'm gagging. Dry heaving, no puke, just dry heaving. So I get that shit under control, we come out. Go up to the ring, get in the ring, and it's almost like how football players do. What do you call it when they do drills?
Line drills,
Yeah. So you get in the ring, and I think the first thing we do is before I got in, they were doing hip tosses and stuff like that. But when I got in, all the guys who had been there a little while.
Right.
So they all knew more than I did. Maybe not smart, you know, none of us was smart, but they were further along in their move sets and what they're doing than I was.
Right.
So I want to say Tony put me on my hands and knees and had the boys go from corner to corner showing me how to take bumps over their backs.
Right.
Guy gets down on his hands and knees. You come from one corner, you plant your hands, put your head in the middle of his back, and then you shove off and try to push away from him and land flat.
Right.
So these guys do this. So all of them go through it. Tony's you up. I get in the back of the line. Then I see every guy do it one for one. I'm nervous as hell. I'm watching this shit and I'm thinking, you know, can I do this?
Right.
And could I? Oh, I could get over it, but it sucked. It's terrible, man. As far as the bump goes, it's awful. So it's my turn. I do my bump. Of course, I'm a big guy, so I don't master. I could get over and stuff, and I landed pretty flat, but no push off. Get no distance, you know, away from the guy. Like if you're gonna take a back drop, you take your back drop, but you want to try to push off the guy so you get some clearance between you and him. So did that. Then he made us do some walkouts, which is basically guys get in the corner, you walk to the center of the ring, and boom, take a flat back bump. So same scenario, except this time I didn't start it. I'm at the end of the line again. I started, and I get to watch every guy do it.
Right.
Boom, flat back bumps. After that, I want to say about the end of the class, he did finally let me do some lockups.
Yeah.
But he made me take the bumps first. You know, I guess just to see if, because the mat's not a trampoline. People think it is, but when you get in there and you get to landing on it, you realize shit's not soft, and every ring's different. You know, this will, and the truth fact is, once I got into business and kind of knew a little bit about what's going on, I could have been trained in a lot harder ring.
Right.
This ring was in the fairgrounds. They worked in it every week. I think it probably stayed set up most of the time from week to week. Now, if something's going on, they probably had to take it down. But good bumping ring.
Right.
But still, when you first get there, it's hard. And then you're taking these bumps, and the worst thing to me was, you don't realize it when you're doing it, but you're banging your heels onto the mat.
Yeah.
Every time you hit the mat, you don't know to keep your heels up when you hit, but you're slapping them against the mat, just your heels. And it don't really hurt you while you're doing it. That don't.
Right.
It don't really hurt at all. You just feel them boom, boom. But at the end of the day, when the class was over, Tony said, y'all come and get, you gonna be back next week? And I said, sure, yeah, we'll be back. Felt good. Class went all right. Like I said, I didn't know shit, so I was just happy to have been there. It's the first time I'd actually ever been in a wrestling ring. Yeah. Period. And that's a dream in general. A lot of kids, I was the type of kid, I'd have rather had a wrestling ring than a trampoline. Right. First day of class, you come in, you think y'all gonna come back next week? Yeah. Go home. Like I said, it's an 8-hour trip, so we head out from Nashville. It's probably 5 o'clock. Class started at 2. Class is supposed to be just 2 hours, if I remember right, but sometimes it'd run over some. And then time you get redressed. So it's about 5 o'clock time we got out of there, head home, feel good. About 2 hours later, after the ride and setting, go to get out somewhere to eat, and you realize how sore you are. Your back, you don't have time to cool off in your setting, and your back and stuff's all right. And more than the mat, we did hit the ropes some. And the ropes, when you don't know how to hit them, or you first hit them till your body gets conditioned to, especially the tables, man, they'll leave these bruises across your back where you've hit it. Just till your body's got to get used to stuff like that. But I get out, we go to eat, and my back's hurting a little bit and stuff, but man, as soon as my feet hit the ground, dude, I thought I was going to hit the ground myself. Felt like my heels were separated from my body inside my shoes. When I got home that night, it literally felt like when I was putting my shoes off, my heels were going to come off inside them, and they done got stone bruised. Yeah. Well, they didn't, they hurt bad enough that day, but the next day and the next day, they had just got feeling all right by the time the next Sunday rolled around. And then you go through the same thing,
So you go back each week, each Sunday, and train. So Tony Falk trains you?
Tony Falk. The next week we came, Jeff was there, Jeff Jarrett. Right. The next week when we came, Jeff was there. And then Jeff was there most of the Sundays, other than if he had a booking or something that had to be out of town for something, but most Sundays he was there. If he wasn't there, Tony was there. And then if Tony wasn't there, they had this guy named Eron Hatchett. Most people probably don't have no idea who he is, but he was a trainee there too, but he'd been there. Killer wrestler in the ring. Right. I don't really know what became of him, or where he went. I want to say I heard something about, now this is just in my head, what I think I heard he maybe tried to rob a bank eventually. Wow. May have spent some time in prison for trying to rob a bank, whether that's true or it's somebody else, but I'm pretty sure that's what I heard later on.
So about how many weeks worth of training did you go through?
When you did it once a week, truth be told, and at that time, I don't think we paid but $20. I'm going to say it worked out to about $10 an hour. Yeah. I could be wrong about that. It might have been a little more, but it wasn't no more than 30 at the most for each Sunday session. And they didn't make you sign no contracts. which to me was a smart thing because now I know you agree to train somebody for a set fee. Let's say it's $3,000. If they don't pay you right up front, then you got to work out some kind of payment plan.
Right.
And there's so many times that somewhere in between starting and ending, shit goes south.
Right.
You know, so I actually like the idea of paying per class. I can come if I want to. I can not come.
Right.
They don't care either way. You know,
Right.
and if I don't come, then they ain't out no money. They ain't got to try to collect no money. You know, it's a simple form. I started in late 91. Like I said, we only did it once a Sunday. I think a few times we had a Wednesday class, a Wednesday and a Sunday a couple times. I didn't end up getting my first match until late 92, mid to late 92. So
Now,
a year of Sundays.
right.
But now some Sundays, just like anybody else, I didn't make it every single Sunday. Most Sundays,
Right.
you know, when I say I didn't make it every Sunday, every blue moon I might have to miss a Sunday for something, but back the next week. And truth be told, I really don't think I paid that much.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it worked out good for me as far as training wise.
Well, you were trained correctly. I know a pet peeve of yours right now. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry who thinks they can wrestle, thinks they can train someone to wrestle and just throws them in the ring and lets them do whatever. How did Jeff and Tony handle you guys? Did they say, okay, you've been here this time, it's time to get in the ring, you're good, go? How did they handle y'all?